My fellow Cameroonians, Minnesota Cameroonians, accept greetings from my entire executive team, and most importantly, our very warm New Year wishes to all of you. 2018 is a year that has been very close to us as a people. A year that reminds us of who we are as a people, because it is a year that has some timelines built into it that would define us as a people. As your executive body, members of your executive team, it is very important to us, and it continues to remain highly prioritized to us, that cohesiveness that is supposed to exist among your MINCAM leadership continues to be promoted. And by that we mean that we want to, and we will do all that it takes to continue to promote a cohesive relationship, a more collaborative relationship with the different leadership organs of this organization. The board of directors, as well as the representative assembly, and not forgetting the notables in our community. We have quite a few of them. We have begun work in the background to this effect. We're working hard, we're working diligently to make sure that this happens, because the more we're able to collaborate and work as a team, the faster and the better we're able to take our organization to where you actually want our organization to be. To our kids, I'd like to start off by apologizing to you that we were not able to put together your most famous Christmas party. And this is because of everything else that we've been struggling with as an organization. But we want to assure you that we don't take you for granted, and that we have not forgotten about you. That we plan to do a summer party for the kids to make up for the Christmas party that they did not have. And we'll make it as exciting as you would experience it. And so we'll invite you to start preparing for your summer party. We'll announce a date, and then we're going to make sure that it happens. So we thank you for your patience with us. We want to tell you and reassure you that you remain a very integral part of our lives and a very integral part of this community. That we have so much love and respect for you as our kids, and that we must always do what is right for you. 1020 Bandana Boulevard, our most prized possession, has come to define us as MINCAMers, as all our activities, our joy, our sorrows are being defined by this property. We have always believed, as your executive, that this building is able to self-sustain. And that is why, even when we've been struggling with other responsibilities to make sure that this building is able to stay open, we've also made sure that we're paying the bills. When we came in, we met several months of bills that were not paid, unpaid bills. I'm proud to tell you that we've caught up. And And we have put our bills to where it's on autopilot. So they're current. We know that that's also something that means a lot to you, something that you've been concerned about. And I just wanted to make sure that we're reassuring you that even without the different revenue streams that we're supposed to have in place, the revenue streams that we outlined to you as your administrators, that we were supposed to use in order to attract the money to pay bills, that with the meager that we have been able to attract from hall rental. And I want to tell you that the hall rental is not at the level where we had planned to get it to, but we've gotten money from hall rental, we've gotten money from events. That's part of the revenue streams that we told you we were going to put in place in order to make sure that we stay afloat. And then we've had donations too from other very generous community members. And we want to say thank you immensely for your generosity. And that because of this, we've been able to catch up with our bills and we're able to continue to pay our bills. So thank you very much for those who have donated their widow's mite to continue to make sure that the doors stay open, the bills are paid, and we have done just that. A more elaborate financial statement is going to be put out there so you would understand how much money we have received and what we've spent the money on. Transparency, like we said, must exist in this organization. That's one of our biggest driving forces, and we must make sure that it is reflected in the way we communicate and we put information out there for you as well. And the fact that we had some timelines that we're going to define the future of this property left us with a lot of concerns as to whether we'll be able to keep this property come 2018, based on the fact that our taxes, which we owe on the property, based on our inherited taxes, had not been paid. We had not met our tax obligation. And so we were faced with the possibility of losing this property come April of this year. With $98,000 that we inherited when we bought the property, we knew we were inheriting this amount of money, and we also knew that as a people, we could get this building to produce for us and be able to pay back these taxes without any problem. However, we have not been able to do that. We have not been able to get the building to start producing for itself. We've not been able to get these taxes paid, let alone negotiated. When we came into power, my administration and myself went down to work. And before I even get there, I'd like to extend our gratitude to you, the people of Minnesota, our Cameroonians in Minnesota, for having such confidence in us that you decided that we are going to pilot your affairs during these very trying moments. You decided that you were going to entrust this very expensive $4 million plus property in our hands to determine the future, knowing that it was never going to be easy, knowing that we were faced with a $98,000 that had grown into $300,000 because of interest and penalties. And yet, when we reassured you, it's because we knew that coming in, from a business background, we knew some options that we had. We laid out a plan. We laid out multiple revenue streams. And we wanted to show you that this is doable. So besides the multiple revenue streams that we laid out as your executive team, we also focused on doing some background work with the county to see how those taxes could be renegotiated. So we did that, and I am glad to tell you that this team of fine gentlemen and women that you chose to work on your behalf have done so diligently. They've worked vigorously to make sure that we represent what you want of us as your executive team and the kinds of successes that you want us to bring back to your community. I stand here today to tell you that we have not done anything short of that. When we started off, it was $300,000. Then we negotiated. It came down to $166,000 that we were faced with for this year. If we did not come up with that money come April, we'll stand the chance of would have stood the chance of forfeiting this property. And that has been the fear of most Cameroonians. For those of you who had that scare, that fear, I want to reassure you that we are very cognizant of that and that we don't take that for granted. That your fears were very well-founded, and we took that seriously, and we built that into our negotiations when we negotiated on your behalf. We want you to be rest assured that your property is in good hands and that the negotiations have paid off. So from $166,000, this is how it played out. First and foremost, we asked for a tax forgiveness from the county, the Ramsey County. But they could only forgive 3 years of our taxes. We have not filed for 4 years. And so the bulk of the money that was accrued during year one could not be forgiven. However, they agreed that they were going to look into forgiving the last 3 years of our taxes. So on the 19th of December is when the city was supposed to meet to decide on our faith, as far as the portion that they were going to forgive is concerned. So they met and they came back to us and they readjusted our taxes. So the $148,000 portion was reduced. That is for the past 3 years. It was reduced to only $4,500 due for this year. Meaning that the county decided to forgive $143,000 off of that money. That is very good news. Because that means that the county is willing to work with us. However, the first part of the $166,000, which we accrued in year one, so $98,000 plus the interest and the taxes that the city or the Ramsey County could not forgive because that money was accrued in year one, meant that we still had to be faced with that. So they accepted that they were going to negotiate with us and they would break it down into 5 years, making it $33,000 a year for us to pay. Well, that is good news. But to my administration, that wasn't good news enough. That is what we reported to you before. But in the background, we made sure that we continued to fight. We did a lot of research to make sure that we came up with situations that the county had stretched the payment plan to more than just 5 years. And so we're able to demonstrate this to them, and they agreed that they were going to look into it and then get back to us. So the news that we had this year, which is a very, very welcoming news and very good news to us, is that they came back to us and decided that they were going to stretch our payments from a 5-year plan to a 10-year plan. So bringing down that 33,000 to 17,100 francs. $100. So that is good news. Remember, we were faced with 300,000 and then 166,000 and then 33,000, and now we're talking about 17,000, and then we're talking about another 4-5. So if we put those two together, $17,100 and the 4,500, that would bring us to $21,600, which is well within our reach. If we want anything better than that, then the only responsibility we have is regroup as a community. Take up our own fair share of the responsibility. Now that our administration, our executive team, has gone out and has worked and brought back this tax liability to a fairly manageable amount of money, I believe we as a community can take care of this. The beauty about this is that once we're able to pay this $22,000, it's going to change a lot for us. So because we did not pay these taxes, we did not go back to the county to negotiate these taxes, that put us in a tax delinquency status. So what that did to us was that we were not able to access grant money anymore. We were not able to access any loans. An example is the loan that we got from the Port Authority for over $250,000 to redo our energy system so that it can become more efficient. The money had been approved by the Port Authority, but at the point where they had to do their due diligence before issuing out the money to us, that's when they found out that we were delinquent in taxes and they withheld the money. So the money is still sitting there, approved for us, but until we get out of our delinquency status, we'll not be able to access this money. So when we pay our $22,000, what that will do is automatically get us, and we've been reassured by the county that they will automatically take us out of the delinquency status, and then we'll begin to function again like the non-profit organization that we are. And before I forget, the county also transferred us back into exempt status, meaning that we will stop accruing any new taxes. So right now we are an exempt organization. Once we pay the taxes that we have due, we will never have any taxes again to pay. We'll also not have a mortgage for that building. It means that everything that will come into that building will be profit. Not profit because in the non-profit world, we talk about excesses and not profits. So there will be a lot of excesses that will be plowed back into the services and programs that we are going to create as a community in that community center. We have a wish list as a community, the things that we want to see happen in our community center. And I can list a few. But before I list a few, I just want to make sure that you understand that in addition to us going out and collecting money now from out there, that this building will begin to produce enough money to plow back into our programs that will benefit us as a people. Now, what are some of those programs? We talked about an adult/child care center as a priority. That is something that can be done. We have a lot of kids, our wives, our mothers, our sisters struggle with babysitting in this country. We bring our parents to help us babysit. Our parents come in, they've put in their fair share of responsibilities raising us. And yet, because of the hardship that we go through as a people with regards to babysitting our kids, because we still have to go to work, these parents stay home and they have to take care of these kids. With a child/adult care center, what will happen is that in the morning, the kids and the parents will go out there, and our parents, they will go out there. While our parents will go out to one direction, the kids will go out to the child care center. Remember that because we'll be plowing back enough profits, not up profits, but excesses into our programs, these programs will eventually be subsidized to the point where child care will become very, very affordable to us as a people. Those are the kinds of things that this building is meant to deliver to us as a people. Our parents will go to one direction. It would be an adult literacy center. It would also be a gathering place for all our parents to rally, play games, chat with each other, watch movies, go on tours, but enhance the lives of those parents that we have in our community so that they begin to actually enjoy this country and all the other amenities that it has to offer that they have not been able to access because of our situations with babysitting. We want a situation where when we leave the house and come back in the evening, everybody will be excited to come back. Everybody will be refreshed and everybody will want to hang out with each other because everybody had the day out and missed out on each other. We talked about a museum, an African art museum. That is something that we don't have here in the Twin Cities. We want to take that leadership role in the African diaspora in Minnesota, where we are not just followers, but we're leading in numerous aspects that will come to define us as a people. So that tomorrow, when other Africans look at us, they will look at us with a lot of envy. Because as a people, we've been able to do the things that only come across as a dream to most other African communities. My fellow Cameroonians, once we're able to settle the crises that we've had and the challenges that we've had with our property, then we can now refocus on building us as a people. But as we go along doing that, we will realize that our lives will always be tied to this property. And that even by us building, rebuilding, rebranding ourselves, re-engaging, building that spirit of camaraderie among us, that spirit of forgiveness, that spirit of oneness, that spirit where everyone is everyone's keeper, and that everyone looks at the betterment of each and every one of us. That we're creating a community, building a community whereby each and every one is able to hold each other's hands and we grow together as a people. And that as we do that, we are passing down these values to our kids as well. We come to you as our people and as your leaders to say, whatever we had lost as a people, this is the time for us to come to rally together and rebuild, redefine ourselves, focus on building a community that stands together, a community that sticks together, a community that emulates, that takes after other great examples, other communities that have come to this country and they have thrived because they have worked together. Examples are communities like the Indians. The Asians have done it. Just to name a few, we can do it as well. And we can do even more. The Jews have done it, and they are successful as a team. If we stick together, we'll be amazed as to what we as Cameroonians will be able to do, not just for ourselves, but for our kids and for our future generation. So before I conclude, I would like to go back to our tax liability for this year, the $22,000, which is money that we can afford. If you look at how many groups we have here that constitute the owners of this community, our alumni, our cultural groups, as well as our social groups. During the last representative assembly meeting, we registered 30 plus of those groups as owners of this community. Because you entrusted that responsibility to us to go and work for you, we have done that. We've done our own fair share. Now we've come back to you and we're reporting to you that this is what we have done. This is what we expect you to do in order to help us do our job for you. If every group listed as owners of MINCAM can contribute a meager amount of $1,000. $1,000 is not too much money when that's all your tax obligation for a property that you own that is worth over $4 million. $1,000 a year is not too much. Once we are able, or each group is able to come up with $1,000 towards rescuing its own property, which is not too much to ask for. It will be the beginning of our rebranding of who we are as a people. It will be the dawn of a new day in this community, because as one people, we're able to come together again and stand up for what is in our interest and what is best for us. The beauty about this is that we have also begun to put together a team of non-profit experts. Minnesota Cameroonian non-profit experts who will be charged with the responsibility to go out and plan, prepare, propose to us, and execute programs of interest to us. And of course, new programs that they're going to introduce to us based on their expertise, programs that are going to be beneficial to our community, and those are programs that are also going to be able to attract money, the much money needed for this community center. Because some of us, if not most of us, are concerned about the donor fatigue. We also took that very seriously. And that's why we have structured a plan so that we will be able to transition from the days where we continue to remove money from our pockets to the days where this building will be producing for us. And the time is now. I urge you, each and every one of you, please endeavor to do your own fair share. And if each and every one of us contributes their widow's mite, knowing that this is only meant to help us transition into that era, that new era, whereby this building will be given the opportunity to produce for us. This building will be given the opportunity to pay the bills, to sustain the building, and pay back our taxes, as well as begin to pay back the debts that we owe to some of us in the community who, out of good faith, have continued to let us hang on to this debt that we owe them, knowing that once we're able to clear the hurdles, the financial hurdles that we've been entangled into or with, we'll be able to start paying their money. We take that very seriously. We thank them immensely for being patient with us. We thank our Cameroonian community for also being very understanding, for being patient. That even though you've not been hearing from us, it is because we were busy working for you. And we will continue to work for you. And your support and encouragement means a lot to us. We therefore invite every single Cameroonian to take ownership of MINCAM and its properties. That no Cameroonian is more important than the other in this community, that all of us are Cameroonians, all of us are owners of the community, and all of us are brothers and sisters, and each other's keeper, irrespective of what direction we came from, or what direction we're going to. We will stand up as one people. Our community, because it continues to remain a community built up of cultural groups, alumni associations, as well as other social groups. These groups embody a lot of cultural values that mean a lot to us. I remember how our cultural groups or our cultural events used to be so important and so highly attended. And that recently, we don't experience that. We have not experienced that. That is a very, very important selling point to the entire Minnesota community. And by this, I invite all of us to start thinking about a summer Minnesota Cameroonian grand cultural event, which is not going to be tailored to entertain us, but it will be tailored, it will be designed such that we come out and we're able to show Minnesota what fabric we're made out of. It is one that we're going to use in order to sell us. It is one that we're going to use in order to reintroduce ourselves to the Minnesota community. It is one that we're going to use in order to bridge or to rebuild the broken trust, the broken bridges, burnt relationships that we've had with some of the people who came in good faith and had every good intention to work with us and help us, but that we as a people did not follow through with that, and that did not leave a good taste to them. So this is an opportunity for us to be able to invite, it's going to be an opportunity for us to invite these folks back and try to rebuild those relationships. I've always believed in Minnesota Cameroonians. We embody a lot. We have a lot of skills. We're people with a lot of skill sets, diverse, very intelligent people, very exposed, very highly knowledgeable, and we must enhance all of this so that we're able to do and promote our organization in ways that will only help to promote our lives as a people. On that note, I'd like to invite us to think seriously about the spirit of volunteerism. That as a people, we should emulate the American values of volunteerism. And like they say, charity begins at home. We should also begin to think about the different ways that we contribute to our community. Not necessarily only financially, but the help, the time that we put in. And by this, I invite all of you, each and every one of you, to think about how is it that you can come in to help serve your community. We have different opportunities. We don't expect someone else to come from outside to help us build our community. Our community is going to be built by us. And so, if you think that you have something to offer, as small as you may even think it is, we value it. We value your time. We value everything you bring to the table in order to help build and reshape your community. Please do well to contact us. We'll be very glad to welcome you, because after all, it is your community. The more we have volunteering to serve your community, the better and the faster we'll be able to take this community to where it needs to be.